Hey, you want to hear a joke?
Do I have to?
Yes.
Okay, I guess I do want to hear a joke then.
Why did they call it Windows 8.1 instead of Windows 9?
I don't know.
Because Windows 7, 8, 9.
I'm not even doing the show. What's up, everybody? I'm just so excited.
No.
I've been drinking these. It's my fourth one of these. I've had 4 of these.
Oh my God.
We're going to be going to the rally in D.C. this Saturday, the 26th. I will see you guys there. If you are there and you're wearing one of the Tech Syndicate shirts, or if you have anything from the store, just come up to me. I will give you $5. I'll give you $5. That's the way it works. I've got $25 bills in my pocket, and I'll just be handing them out. So check out the store, see what we've got. You know, we got some new shirts in.
Only if you're wearing the shirt.
Yeah. We have girl shirts too. So if you're a girl or if you're a guy that fancies women's clothing, we do not discriminate. You can wear it. I will give you $6 if that's you, because you are different, and I will give you a different amount. Different as in according to the societal standards that I never care to adhere to. Game deals as well. There's a bunch of them there. Let's go on and talk about.
We were momentarily excited because we thought we sold 50 women's t-shirts. No, it turns out the store just screwed up.
They were sold out for a second. I was like, hey, we had 50 last night. Some guy went on and bought them all. He was gonna be taking them home and probably making his own projects out of them. In Idaho.
His own project. It's like a craft project.
Well, you know, a lot of people, they get the shirts and then they I'm going to cut a pattern into this one, and I'm going to make it string, and then I'm going to make a tube top out of this. And
I'm going to need some Elmer's glue, popsicle sticks, and women's t-shirts.
50 Tech Syndicate Raise the World logo.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah. If you're in Idaho and you're a hacker, well, you're going to go to hell, and then you're going to go to jail and all kinds of things. So there was a small developer out there, and he said that he likes to hack on his website, and he was in a dispute with his employer, and they used the fact that he said he was a hacker on his website as grounds to get a warrant to go into his house and take his PC.
He had no opportunity to defend himself.
Well, they said he was a hacker, so they didn't want to give him the opportunity to defend himself, because if he was a hacker, he could have hacked everything gone and removed all the evidence.
Yeah, we've experienced this before with Kevin Mitnick. It was just as absurd then as it is now.
Well, it was quite a bit. I mean, it's really absurd there. Just completely, ridiculously absurd. But yeah.
So apparently if you call yourself a hacker, you have no Fourth Amendment rights. I'm
not sure if it's a problem of misunderstanding here, or I'm not sure exactly where the problem is. We made a separate video on this, and I highly recommend that you guys check it out. It's more of a conversation. But I don't know, what's it about? I already forgot about the video that we released yesterday.
It was sort of if you're interested in the rally in D.C., you should go check out the other video, because we put all the political stuff in that video.
It's deeper than just the political stuff, and it's deeper than just surveillance. It's a problem with, number one, our democracy, and number two, dissension is no longer allowed. And that's a big problem. If you're not allowed to say that you're a hacker on your website, that's a big problem.
Well, if you're not allowed to disagree with the establishment, I mean, do we really want everyone in government to think alike? That seems dangerous.
We're going to lighten up again, but we'll come back to the crazy NSA stuff in just a second. Apple is going free with their the next version of their OS. We're just going to chit-chat a little bit about what that may mean for the world. Number one, that's going to put them in a different category. They're no longer competing with Microsoft. A lot of people are going like, oh my God, now it's going to pressure Microsoft to release theirs for free, even though they just came out with 8.1 and it's like $169 for
Well, it was
Pro
free
edition.
for 8 users. 8 to 8.1 was a totally free upgrade.
But you had to pay for 8.
Yes, but it was an identical situation with Mavericks, because you can't upgrade. Can you upgrade to Mavericks if you have an older version?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I really don't know anything. I'm not qualified to speak regarding Apple products. I have not used one since the days of the G4, other than maybe an iPod or something like that. But
so if you're in our audience and you have an Apple device and you didn't know that OS X Mavericks was out, OS X Mavericks is out. Ta-da! Go get it. It's free. The only noteworthy feature that I noticed was they have apparently now put your encryption keys in the cloud. So if you're in iCloud and you want all your encryption keys to go to the cloud, which is otherwise known as, you know, a direct line to James Clapper at the NSA, yeah, you should totally use
Clapper's
that.
at the security, the intelligence.
Oh yeah, he's the guy that lied to Congress.
Yeah, that's Clapper, and then we got Alexander. It goes straight to one of those guys. Clapper would work, yeah.
When Apple did the press release, there was, it's like, you hear that? You hear that sound? That's the sound of NSA analysts creaming their pants at all these encryption keys in Apple's iCloud.
But it's so convenient, though. Your encryption keys in the cloud? What the hell are they thinking? I don't even know. Netflix is now larger than HBO with 40 million subscribers. Everything is going to the web. We can make a totally separate video on this just as it is, because there's something crazy going on right now with the cable companies. And a lot of it has to do with the success of Netflix, Hulu, and just the new paradigm of entertainment consumption.
Yeah, because, I mean, Netflix surpassing HBO subscribers is a pretty big deal, especially after the HBO win with Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah, the thing about Game of Thrones was that, well, Game of Thrones was the most pirated thing like ever. Like, everyone was pirating it. So now Comcast is the first carrier to do this. They have a package where you can get internet and HBO. That's it, internet and HBO. Maybe this will do something to offset the piracy problem, because a lot of people that have the internet, they don't really care about watching shows, but maybe they want to watch one thing on HBO, like Boardwalk Empire or whatever, because it's a good channel. They should do A&E as well, so they will cover pretty much all the good dramas.
What if you could have
BBC?
What if you could have a la carte cable channels? Can you imagine if you had the ability to just pick and choose the channels that you wanted to watch? That would be incredible.
If you could only have 3, what would you have?
Just Netflix. I don't really care. I mean, it's like, oh look, Netflix, old episodes of Star Trek. I'm good.
I need HBO, A&E, and Discovery Channel, but not this new Discovery Channel with all the bearded people and like people hitting each other in the head with lizards and stuff, like nature shows and stuff.
I like the channel that Breaking Bad comes on, but I don't even.
That's A&E.
Oh, that is A&E. Okay, yeah. I have a Linux box that does all this for me, and it's like, just record the interesting things, and I don't even. There's like 4 things a year.
Mythbuntu or something?
Yeah, it's Mythbuntu, which is really nice.
The powers that be in the cable distribution world really hate Netflix, and instead of creating their own alternative to Netflix, what they're doing is they're trying to pass legislature. They're trying to pass legislation. So we've got.
Well, it's more insidious than that.
Yeah, it really is, because they're all working together. They're colluding against us. But go ahead.
So apparently there was this cable industry like summit or consortium or something, and the guy got up on the podium and he's like, ISPs out there, we really need to institute bandwidth caps. We all need to be on the same bandwagon. And then he didn't say this, but if you continue his sentence, to work together to screw the consumer. And that's exactly what he's. I mean, how is this any different than like OPEC getting together, all the oil companies getting together and being like, well, guys, we really need to make sure that oil costs at least $250 a barrel.
Yeah, make it so. Make sure that no one else has access to anything cheaper than that. And if they do, we need to figure out some way to pass a new law to make them stop.
How is this not immediate grounds for government intervention to, start setting prices or break them up into municipal companies or regional companies or something? These guys are too big. This is an unprecedented level of arrogance.
Verizon really, really wants all this to happen. They really want they want the bandwidth caps, number one. But the other thing that they want to happen is they want to charge you to access websites like Netflix and websites like Hulu, competing websites, but also websites that suck up a lot of bandwidth. They want you to pay extra for those specific websites. You can have your web package, but you're gonna have to pay extra for just those. And the government's like not having it, so they're suing the government. They're like, it's our business. And it is not your business, government, to tell us what to do with our freaking business.
Now, the argument here, we've heard it before, is that, these services chew up a lot of bandwidth, and our business model was not designed to actually give customers the bandwidth they're paying for. That's maybe an unfair way to restate the argument, but, I'll give them that. That's fine. But the thing that's really interesting here is Netflix and Hulu know that they're so large that their infrastructure is such that they could actually provide these companies caching servers. So that Netflix is like, look, you got a lot of customers that want to watch Game of Thrones. We're going to give you a server. We're going to give you potentially millions of dollars of equipment so that your subscribers can watch Netflix. And that traffic never leaves your network. It never hits the internet. You never have to pay for that internet traffic. But they don't want that. They would rather...
No, they said no. How can you say no to that?
That's crazy.
We're living in a world right now where these companies, instead of modernizing and instead of doing things the right way, they're spending their business dollars by hiring lobbyists and going to Congress and trying to get laws passed so they can keep their old ways. It's completely ridiculous, but that's their business model now. Their business model is to use the courts to get what they want done instead of doing it the right way and letting Netflix and come in and install the caching servers and maybe creating a competing business on their own.
This is dishonest because it's sleight of hand. They're saying at first this is a bandwidth issue, this is a delivery issue. Oh my God, we're having to pay all this money for our internet connectivity. Never mind that customers are paying for that connectivity in the first place.
They want the freaking customers to pay, and they want Netflix to pay as well. As maybe you can get Cogent to pay because it's
yes. Because, it's like he who controls the network controls the content. And it's like he who controls the spice controls the universe. And
this
it's
is one spicy network.
It's just, I can't understand how any politician with an IQ over 80 doesn't see what's going on here transparently. We have a saying here, never attribute to malice what can be explained by incompetence.
Did you just insinuate that there may be someone in Congress with an IQ above 80?
Surely there's...
You're giving them a lot of credit.
I mean, I don't think all the Congress people are evil. I think some of them just don't know any better. And surely we can reach those that don't know any better. And the law and the judges that are looking at this, if there are any judges out there that have Google searched for this and they've stumbled upon the video, no, if this is about bandwidth, then Netflix would give equipment to these companies to ease their bandwidth, but it's not about that. It's about control. They want to use their network to control the experience, and that should not be allowed. I think that trolling like this should be illegal because they're making an argument that sounds reasonable to somebody that doesn't know what they're doing and doesn't have the ability for rational thought and to sort of pierce the veil of their argument. It seems reasonable on the surface, but then when you think about it and you actually know your ass from a hole in the ground, it falls apart.
Well, they're also the same people that made the 1996 Telecommunications Act sound really good. I mean, it sounded like a great deal for the country. When I would look back at the footage from back then, I'm like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, we should probably do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Do it for the children, the hospitals, the schools.
The politicians that were involved in that thought it was a really good idea. The problem is that the American public was left out of that bill, and the American public had no idea what they were supposed to get.
There was no seat at the table for them.
And so when they didn't get what they were promised, there was no one to complain.
Time to take a word from our sponsors, Squarespace. Now, their sponsorship has really helped us crank out a lot of videos, so thanks very much, Squarespace. If you guys do not need a website, you can skip ahead about a minute and nobody gets hurt. But if you do need a website, check this out. With Squarespace, you can easily put together a site and you can do it really quickly. And that's kind of the key. It's content forward, meaning there's not a lot of bubbly, flashy icons like you see on a lot of the canned template websites. And this one's not exactly just a canned template website. You can go on, pick a template, and then you can even log in with Get Access and change the HTML and CSS. So you can do a lot with this. If you're working for a client, this can especially be helpful because you can get everything set up and then put together their website quickly just based upon the content that they give you. You won't have to worry about messing around a lot with code. You can just get it done and then move on to the next project. And you can also save them time and money. So that's pretty cool. But let me show you what else they've added and something that I've signed up for. There's now Squarespace for musicians. So you can go on, set up your musician account, and you can integrate it with Bandcamp if you like. Buy or share. When you click buy, brings you right up to Bandcamp. If you're not using Bandcamp or you want to be able to more directly sell, there's now Squarespace Commerce. I work with any template whether you're a musician or not. So check that out. It works with Stripe. So anybody who's familiar with Stripe will know that it's good stuff. Last but not least, this can also be handy for the bands or anyone that's touring or just anybody that has events. There's now an events calendar. I like this theme quite a bit. Different themes for it. I have signed up for one of their packages for musicians, so you'll see the new Zweihander album all set up very soon with a new website, and I'll let you know how that's going. So again, thanks to Squarespace, and now back to our regularly scheduled tech. The TSA is going to be changing their methodology as far as background checks when you come to fly. So let's say you go online and you buy a ticket. Well, the NSA is going to go ahead and start checking databases for everything. I mean, just everything in your past. They're going to use all the resources that they have at their fingertips, and they have quite a few resources at their fingertips. If you look at all the different government agencies that are collecting, data on us, I mean, they can pretty much access anything in our past. And I'm not really sure how they're going to figure out who can and can't fly based upon that. Maybe if you miss a car payment, you're in trouble and you have to sit on the ground until you pay your car payment. I don't know how it's going to work.
This is ridiculous.
It could be ridiculous, but what if they look up, hey, this guy's been eating babies. Don't let him fly.
What good would it do? It only serves to get in the way. I mean, if you are, somebody who doesn't get a credit card, who doesn't, live paycheck to paycheck, and you manage to save out and this kind of thing, when you actually need to get a car loan or a bank loan or something like that, you haven't, quote unquote, built any credit. I'm not sure that building credit, quote unquote, by giving all kinds of private information and purchase history to these third party companies should be like a normal mode of operation for American citizens for getting like car loans and bank loans. But it's required. If you try to get a car loan or a bank loan and you don't have any credit history with a credit card and other stuff like that, you're not going to get a bank loan or a car loan or anything like that. And that's, it's basically you have no choice but to let people rummage around your financial life, and that's ridiculous.
You know how much trouble I've had just going from one place to another in the country, trying to do anything, trying to get an apartment, trying to get a job or anything. Every time they try to look up stuff in my background, they're like, "Well, I don't know. Is this you in California? Because I got a thing here from Florida like 2 days earlier. Which one is you?" I'm like, "Well, they're both me, but and they're like, "Okay, well, what did you do for these 2 years here?" I was like, "Oh, I hitchhiked." They don't. It doesn't make any sense to them. I've had a lot of trouble getting around.
It's a pretty interesting example of a corporation having more rights than a person. There's all kinds of crazy, quirky stuff like that creeping into the law, and it's really disturbing. And there's a lot of commercial control where a lot of these companies make it impossible for you to buy a car or buy a house, which arguably is at least some part of the American experience. I don't think you should be relegated to renting for your whole life necessarily. But if no one's going to give you money or no one's going to loan you money, I guess you've got the option of saving. But then banks don't really even want your cash. You have to go through hoops to open up a bank account, and that's just a pain in the ass.
Corporations are not people. Of course not. They have more rights. The NSA. Okay, so let's talk just a minute about the NSA thing with France. So it came out that we in 1 month period the United States government spied on 70 million phone calls. You guys talk a lot over there in France. That's a lot. That's a lot of phone calls, I guess. 70 million phone calls were spied upon. And the French government kind of like freaked out. They called in their ambassador because they needed to scold him and everything. But, I don't think that this is being, they say it's a big deal, but I think a lot of it's show, it's a lot of pomp and a lot of whatever, but there's not I feel like it's just they're slapping him on the wrist, and they have to because, the public demands it, but I don't feel like it's harsh enough. Like, the French government's not really reacting in a way that I feel is totally, they're appalled, okay? But, I don't know, I didn't believe it. I don't feel like it was strong enough. I don't know. Am I alone in this? Feeling like the whole world has to react like, "Oh my God, how dare you?" And then they're just going to shut up and like let it happen.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's already there. It's like a tick. It's embedded. How do you get it out?
Well, Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, this also happened to her personally. She discovered that the NSA was personally tapping her phone. So she called Obama, and I think that she may be appalled because it personally happened to her. If it happened to the German people, well, we know that the NSA and the German government have done things together. They've worked together. Of course, they're working on the new German internet that's going to be sort of a local infrastructure where if it's something that goes from Germany to Germany, it does not leave the soil. Well, I think a lot of it's just going to be like, hey, we're just doing this to make the public feel better, but, whatever. But I think it's interesting that it happened to her directly. I mean, did they mean to target her? Are they, like, chasing her down for some reason?
Yes.
Did she do something?
Oh, yes. The documents that have been revealed so far show that heads of state are not immune. Politically connected people are not immune. In fact, those are high value targets in the terminology, in the vernacular.
Yeah, they really want to know what they're talking about. Well, I think that's interesting that they get so appalled. I mean, I think she has a right to be appalled, but I also think she should be really freaking appalled that it's happening to her citizens in Germany.
Well, I really enjoyed the Dianne Feinstein article.
The one where she justifies everything and says it's not really surveillance?
Yeah, she hit all the buzzwords, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that those are all the buzzwords that they used in Nazi Germany. So bad.
It's legal. It's oversight.
Yeah,
and it
everything
works.
Hitler did was legal too, lady.
Because he made it legal.
Yeah.
Even retroactively if he needed to. Wow, that's pretty tough stuff. But she said that it works, and the other thing that kind of bothers me about all this is that in keynote speeches and everything, Congress, whoever's for the NSA, they keep saying that it works, and they keep quoting that magical number 54. And we already see that the Democratic senator from Vermont, Leahy, backed Alexander into a corner a couple weeks ago and forced him to admit that 54 was not an accurate number, that they've stopped more like 3 domestic plots, and they weren't even really plots. Like, one of them was a guy sending money to a terrorist organization, and they caught that. So it's really two, and it's kind of, even those are kind of maybe. So we've got two maybes.
Well, there was an NPR thing a while back about an FBI sting operation where it was literally they found a redneck in like rural Montana or somewhere. I don't remember the details, but they found a redneck at a bar, and he's like, I need to blow up the government. And then the FBI like literally did everything from there on out. And it's like, well, you know, if I gave you this thing that had a button on it and you push the button and it's going to blow up something somewhere, would you do it? And he's like, you're kind of weird and creepy. I don't know.
and then they're like, look, they're doing everything they power to prosecute this guy.
Well, eventually, I think in the one that I'm thinking of, I think one time I think this scenario has played out a few different times. Yeah. And in one scenario, they arrested the guy and he's like, this guy was weird. I didn't know what he was talking about. And in another case, the guy actually reported the people that were trying to bait him into doing something.
He called the FBI.
Yeah, well, I think he reported them to the state police, and so the state police were investigating the FBI for a while.
And then the FBI's like, cut it up, man. Trying to get this guy. He's got a funny hairdo and a beard.
Yeah, they probably arrested him anyway, just in case, because that's how we do things now.
Just making sure.
In 30 years, there's only going to be 3 American citizens that aren't in jail anymore, and they're going to be paying the jail fees for everybody else in the country.
We're going to have so much paint.
Hey, is it like
capital of the world?
Does nobody in Washington realize that there may be a problem when more of our population is in jail than the entire rest of the world combined?
The people that own the jails will be in their own jails from within.
Yeah, it is it is a little disturbing that 99 or 95% of the paint that is manufactured in America is manufactured in prisons.
I'm telling you, this is going to be the paint capital of the world. You want lead-free paint? You just call America. Our prisons will do it for you.
The prison industrial complex. It's like, you got a parking ticket, it's going to be 30 years of hard labor making MacBook Pros.
Hey, 20 cents an hour, and you can't argue with it. Get back to work.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
You know what? Foxconn and prison are very similar.
It's funny, we laugh about that, but that's where, I mean, oh my God.
CryptoSeal. They're the next company that's similar to LavaBit that has gone under, or they've actually closed their doors because they did not want to have to give encryption keys to the NSA. So they just shut down, and not sure if anything else is going to come of this, but it's kind of crazy to see that, you know, these companies that have been established to give citizens a private way to communicate, they're having to shut down so that they won't be strong-armed into, I guess, giving away their encryption keys and, you know, basically backstabbing all their customers so that they shut down.
I'd love to know more about what the backstory is here, but this is really kind of crazy. I mean, how is this any different than, you know, installing monitoring equipment on every building, on every street, on every scrap of public anything? How is it any different than literally just having something follow you around and record everything you do?
They're recommending that you use the Tor project. Do not use the Tor project.
Do not
That's
use
weird.
the Tor
I mean,
project.
why would they do that?
Tor versus Firesheep on your local Starbucks Wi-Fi. Tor might be a better choice in that case. Yeah, there's a video, there's an interesting article that says the real privacy problem is a problem with democracy. We covered that a little bit in our other video. We'll just mention it. This article's pretty good if you'd rather have it in read form instead of video form.
We made our video before we saw this article, just to clarify.
Yes.
I had not seen this article, and you had not seen this article, is that
Nope.
correct? This came out the 22nd. We made our video on the
20th and 21st.
We have to check the time. We made our video on the 22nd earlier in the day. Then we saw this, so it's kind of interesting that we were making something on the same thing. But I'm just trying to say that we hadn't seen this yet. Let's talk about hardware. Let's get off all this stuff. I am like this. This week is going to be rough for me because this stuff, it's a heavy burden to carry. Like thinking about all this junk all the time, and then we've got the rally this weekend. So
you'll hear about it a little bit less after this weekend. But you know, hey, Germany's now involved in the fun.
And they're appalled, at least Angela Merkel is. You familiar with Rocat? They are the German, I guess they make peripherals, they make mice, keyboards, and all that. They have a new thing called the Power Grid, and it's an application for your Android phone. And it essentially gives you tons of functionality, similar to something you get with like Ada or any other monitoring program on your computer, all right on your phone. And it allows you to see and control things like temperatures and load. You know, it looks pretty cool. I haven't tried this out yet, but I may have to download that. It's a really good idea to have that on your phone.
Does anybody out there know of anything that would be an IF config, IP tables type thing for Android? Because that would be a lot of fun to run, IF config and see what your IP address is on the phone that way, if that's how it works. I have no idea if
There's
that's how
something
it
like
works.
called Network Tools or something that does something like that, but not fully to that extent.
Yeah, I downloaded an app that shows you all open TCP connections, and there's a lot of interesting stuff on my phone. I'd just like to know more about how it works.
Are you actually asking? That's crazy.
Well, I mean, I haven't really gotten into it to try to figure it out or anything, but I just think it would be awesome if I write, a honeypot or something on my phone so that if it does ever have any surreptitious connections, it's like, that would be awesome.
They're all going to go here.
Yeah, the analysts watching this video now are picking up the phone and making some calls and making some notes and things like that. And what's actually happening is my little AI bot is looking for that traffic so that I can know if those things are happening. So do I already have it on my phone? Now, the question you have to ask yourself as an analyst is, do I already have this on my phone? And now I'm waiting to see if you react, or do you leave well enough alone?
They can't do that. That's not in their nature. Prenda couldn't leave well enough alone.
Oh yeah, Prenda Law.
Popat
posted an article that basically summarized. We haven't covered it in a while, but Popat has a really great article that summarizes the situation. Basically, the good ship Prenda is on fire at the bottom of the ocean. To make a long story short, Prenda Law was suing people for downloading torrents, but as it turns out, the IP address that registered their GoDaddy accounts and things like that is the one that seeded the content on the Pirate Bay.
So they registered the domain, and that same one seeded the stuff and then sued people. So he was throwing stuff up there for people to download and then suing them. And then what's even funnier is they have the tech support calls where the guy is calling in under several different names.
But it sure sounds like the same guy.
Yeah, it's like the same voice calling in. Yeah, this is John. Yeah, this is Alan. Yeah, this is...
That evidence does seem pretty damning.
It's hilarious. You guys should really go read up on it because it is like laugh out loud hilarious.
That's on Popat. Now, it is an epic read, but if you like the schadenfreude of that situation, definitely check out that article.
Let's go back to hardware. GTX 780 Ti. We got a picture of it here. NVIDIA brought this out. It's going to compete head-on with the 790, or the R9 290, well, 790, the R9 290X, and then they're going to have the 780. It's going to lower in price to compete head-on with the R9 290. Yeah, I kind of want one of these.
We're hoping, see, the pattern for the last two NVIDIA AMD releases is that AMD releases a card that's like maybe 5 or 6% faster. This happened with the 550 Ti and the 660 Ti.
It's like the tiniest game of Leapfrog ever. It's like
yeah, it really is the tiniest game of Leapfrog ever. What we're hoping is that the 290X is actually like 20% faster, so that even though there's the 780 Ti, it still, is destroyed by the 290X.
I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. So pick your flavor.
But one can hope.
And they're going to be about the same price too. So, hey, this is like back in the olden days when they used to be, about the same speed, about the same price. And you just, fight it out. Instead of one being way faster and way more expensive. I also wanted to note that Windows 8.1 is reportedly making APUs faster with the new drivers. Like the 6800K, you can see here, 109.5% versus 100%. This is the AMD driver uplift. I don't like these percentile charts at all. Just give us a frame rate.
It's 10% faster.
These are weird. Oh, here we go. There we go. PC Mark. That's a canned benchmark. I don't like that either. So it's better in PC Mark. Show me some more real world stuff. Maybe we should test it out. Don't we have a 1600K laying around? It's in my closet. I could test it. Oh no, I've just obligated myself. Now I'm going to get 100,000 emails. Where's that test video? Where's that test video?
Well, I've heard Team Prenda is looking for work, so maybe you can get one of them to test it.
I don't want them touching any of my stuff. They're just full of bad ideas. They'll fudge everything and then they'll try to sue me. Million-year data storage. Magnetic hard drives, they've been around for a long time, but they can only store stuff for like 10, 15, maybe 20 years if you store it correctly, maybe. But now we have a million-year data disk.
An article like this comes out about once a quarter, and it's like, oh, crystalline storage, holographic storage, storing it by using a laser to etch pits and things, kind of like a CD, but something else.
This one stores in fossilized teeth, because when you find fossilized teeth, they're always in somewhat decent shape, and you can read most of the data on them.
So you should check that out.
Yeah, that's how they're stored.
I prefer that there was an article that got cut. We should have put the other one in where they're actually storing data inside mosquitoes inside amber.
Yeah, but I was afraid that might be a Halloween Fool's joke.
The IBM video about it was great. They had a guy going around saying that they spared no expense the whole time
And eating ice cream.
and eating ice cream.
Yeah. It's kind of a weird video. Augmented reality in cars. This is going to be interesting. It'll give you information about the road up ahead if you're behind a truck or something and you want to get around. A lot of times you have to like do that blindly. This is going to help augment your driving so that you can know what's coming before it's there.
We've seen this before in prototype form. The Department of Transportation has always been very reluctant about approving this kind of technology. There was a car a few years ago that had an LCD windshield, and they would lighten and darken certain parts of the windshield in order to reduce oncoming headlight glare. That was the technology worked great, solid technology. Department of Transportation never approved it.
Well, you know, there'd be people trying to hack that so they could watch, whatever TV show while they're driving.
Well, it wasn't that kind of LCD. It was like the old school, like on or off LCD. Like you've seen those fancy windows in buildings where you hit a thing and then the window's frosted.
Yeah.
It was like that, but you had cells on the windshield that would do that, and the Department of Transportation was like, "Whoa, new technology, scary, no."
The state I used to live in, they had a door like that for the bathroom, and if you go there at about 11 o'clock at night and just hang out, people would come in and they would be drunk, and they would not be able to figure it out. You had to flip a thing, and it would make the door frost over in the bathroom, and they would just say screw it and just sit down on the toilet with the. It's like, what? People are drunk; they don't know any better. It was hilarious.
Just as sure as that technology ended up in like a Lincoln Continental, there would be a 103-year-old man trying to find a farmer's market that wrecked and destroyed everything, and it was like, well, that LCD thing, I had no idea.
NASA has a really fast connection with their spacecraft now. They're using a laser that can do 622 megabits per second. That is like way faster.
That's like 800 Comcasts.
it's in a laser beam going to outer space. The latency probably sucks, but that's just because of the speed of light. And that's pretty much your only latency. You know what the latency is probably? You could probably play Counter-Strike on it or something. Probably. It's probably like somewhere between 200 and 500 ping, I would guess.
I guess
there
a
and
unit,
back. I don't know.
I guess a unit of Comcast is not a measure of bandwidth, but it is instead a measure of suck.
How many Comcasts does your? Yeah,
that's at least 20 mega Comcasts.
That's awful. Have you seen this new Disney touchscreen?
Yeah, Disney, the Imagineers are apparently hard at work on a tactile touchscreen something.
It's really they create friction and textures by. Okay, so you should watch the video on here. It'll explain it better than I can right now because they have more time to explain it. But I'm not going to watch the whole 2-minute video anyway. They just hit it with different electrical pulses, and it creates extra friction. So if you're sliding, if it looks like a mountain and you're sliding up, well, they will hit it with a pulse to make the friction greater, to make it feel like you're sliding up and over. And if it's supposed to have a texture like sand, well, they'll hit it with some electric pulses that make it feel like sand or whatever. That's pretty interesting.
It's interesting from a prototype standpoint, but it'll be a long time before this technology, if it is commercializable, is commercialized.
How long until you think we have a scratch and sniff touchscreen?
There were so many good April Fool's pranks about a scratch and sniff internet.
Like your mom. I've seen people do that. I don't want to say who because it's people I used to work with at a different job. Fell for that, and it was really funny.
You're the worst newbie I've ever seen. You got whiteout all over your screen.
Wow.
Okay. What kind of chip you got in there? A Dorito? My other YouTube channel is Spoken Word Weird Al.
That just happened. The researchers have rewritten the entire genome.
Of a microorganism, yeah. They've rewritten.
They've pretty much created an organism with new genetic code. I mean, it's like a totally new thing.
So this is from the Umbrella Corporation?
Yeah, it's new biology. Zombies are going to be everywhere any minute now. All you zombie fanatics will finally get your wish. You'll get to live in a house in the middle of... People romanticize the idea of like zombie apocalypse, I think. They get excited about it. Hey, we're going to get to go live in the woods. And I think they're just excited that they're going to be able to leave their dead-end jobs But you know, after about 3 or 4 days of that, you're going to be like, I want my dead end job and my air conditioning back. I'm sick of eating gruel.
I think the more disturbing thing that's going to come out of this kind of research is that you will have companies like Foxconn, like not Foxconn. I hate to name a specific company, but you will have a large faceless corporation.
Just say Monsanto. They're evil enough that you can name them.
Yeah, can you imagine a Monsanto Foxconn combination of the future that are producing people that have like they only have like a brain stem or something, and then the people can just I mean that would be cheaper than robotics.
Yeah, they're just organic pieces of meat with eyes that go into a factory and they do one thing.
It would be like genetically engineering the Ood from Doctor Who, which is like that slave race that has no will, but, you know, they can do whatever.
The Ood do not experience sadness.
I mean, we could be there in 10 years. That's really, I mean, I think I just invented a whole new genre of sci-fi novel. Not really. I think there are sci-fi novels out there that cover that. Or, you know, Doctor Who.
This is probably going to be real fi before sci-fi. Watson did a better job diagnosing cancer than human doctors did.
And it's Watson's got all the knowledge of a second-year medical student, but the thing that Watson's doing better than any human can is that he's soaking up all the data from medical journals. That's what he's doing that's different, that helps him diagnose better than second-year medical students.
Yeah, because he doesn't have to worry about memory. It's all there.
Yeah.
And it's instantly attainable.
No human being can read all the medical journals that have to do with oncology. So they're literally feeding him all the monthly data from all the medical journals on oncology. And with that data, plus his second-year medical school knowledge, he's able to diagnose certain types of cancer really well.
I can't wait till he's able to reason.
Yeah.
Debating is going to be one thing, but when he's able to reason, it's going to be the singularity right there.
It is going to be interesting when we give birth to AI. We'll probably all die. We'll become the meat bag things that we were just talking about. Like,
oh, no.
What do we have to do? It's like, oh, you need to go here and do this. Okay.
Well, as long as they figure out a way to cut out our emotions. Let's talk about video games. There's not much going on. I mean, there's a few trailers that are out there for some cool indie games and stuff, but this is really funny. Somebody uploaded an 18 gigabyte file to different pirate torrent websites and that sort of thing. Pirate torrent? I sounded like an old... somebody uploaded an 18 gigabyte file to different torrent websites, and they called it GTA 5 for PC. GTA 5 has not been announced for PC, and people are online downloading it by the thousands thinking, oh my god, a leak of a game that hasn't even been announced yet. So yeah, of course, they all downloaded it. It looked really legit, and it even goes through an installation process. And at the end of the installation process, it asks for personal information and everything. And it fills your computer with viruses and spyware.
At the end of the installation, your computer now has 18 gigabytes of viruses. Yeah, go team.
People download this and install it. And then I can't even imagine. What did you think was going to happen?
In my day, the pirate scene was filled with gentlemen and scholars, and they would package things up and be really nice, and there was tons of documentation, and it was seen as a black mark upon all of the society to have a virus in your distribution. How things have deteriorated.
They kind of deserved it.
Yeah, in this case, they did deserve it.
Some of the idiot comments down here are like, the game is about killing and stealing. Whoa, what did Rockstar expect? Like, no, comments like that, there's probably that's someone who downloaded it and he's pissed. Anyway, there's a new trailer for Star Citizen, but it's not exactly a trailer for Star Citizen. It's an advertisement for Anvil Aerospace, the Hornet. And it's really cool. It just shows you the level of polish that they're putting into this. So this looks like a pre-rendered trailer. If this is not pre-rendered, correct me, but it looks like pre-rendered stuff. But if this is going to be indicative of the final game, I really want to play Star Citizen. So yeah, looks really good. You guys can check it out on your own. I feel like we were a little light on the gaming stuff and a little heavy on the terrible NSA stuff. We need to do a separate gaming show because I need to play games to get all that crap out of my memory and just chill and relax and feel like a human being again and all that.
You guys should also do more traffic on the gaming forum on the site so that we know what to look for and what's interesting and what you guys are into.
If you guys have, well, I mean, I know you guys do, but I would love to see more recommendations from the audience as far as like indie games go. Because I think indie games are where the innovation comes from. And
if you don't do it, we're going to do trailers for, Cataclysm, Dark Days Ahead, and you're not going to like that, I promise. Actually, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I've been trying to get into rogue types lately. It's not working out because I don't have the time to invest. And man, they are brutal. They are unforgiving and brutal, just like I am. And that's why I'm going to Washington. I don't know. So I'll see you guys on the 26th, Washington, D.C. Kane and I'll be there. Wendell, maybe?
Yeah, we'll see.
Who knows?
You wouldn't know if I'm there.
But if you're there and he's there, and you still may not know. If you're wearing a shirt, we'll probably tell you.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you $5. I'll let him give you $5.
Look at that.